Hey, we're looking at Wednesday, March 7th. We're going to do a little speedy version to get caught up because we have 2 more stories to try and get through. Quiz coming up on Friday. No speeches today. Speeches got put off until next week. Camp Tecumseh stuff does come due this week as far as your permission slips. You do have a bell work, which you're going to focus on here in a moment. For the bell work, for the magic lens, you are going to have to create your own sentences instead of me making you figure them out. I'm going to make you do the thinking, which apparently kids hate because it makes them have to work and think at the same time. So it means I've discovered something good. You're going to write 3 sentences of your own about the gods in some way. You're going to use a total of 3 nouns, 1 pronoun, 3 verbs, 2 adverbs. 2 adjectives, 4 adverbs, 3 prepositions, not in each sentence. That'd be a really long and confusing sentence. Just total, you're going to use 3 nouns throughout your 3 sentences, like 1 noun for each sentence. And just go through there and label them with your own sentences, so you get to make your sentence as easy or as tough as you want. Challenge yourself, or just realize the fact that you yourself are challenging. And then the homework we finished out from before, we're going to speed through this because we already did it. You missed our fun version of it. So if you go back and watch yesterday's blah, 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 learning, learning's overrated, blah, 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 learning, no one cares, blah, 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 learning. If you're at home and you've not done any of this, go back and watch yesterday's video. It was like 4.5 hours long. And then, hey, back to learning for today. So now we have Athena added. At this point, Zeus is trying to do his best to not make friends with other Titans. But he is not done being friendly. So one day, he's down on Earth walking around, when he stumbles across a wood nymph. And a wood nymph is like an elf. They have wood nymphs and sea nymphs. They're like wood elves and sea elves. And he meets this wood elf by the name of Maya, M-A-I-A. And he thinks she's a hottie, and he gets a little crush on her, and he's like, Hera won't mind because she's not actually a Titan. And so he introduces himself, and they become friendly. The problem is, wood nymphs are not like Titans. So shortly after they are friendly, as in the same day, she gets pregnant. And so she goes, Zeus, good news, I'm pregnant. He goes like, oh, from before? And she's like, nope, now. And he's like, what? She's like, and she's already pregnant. He's like, whoa. He goes, well, I don't know how Hera's going to feel about this, so we're going to need you to go hide in a cave until I figure out what to do about my wife. So he tells Maya to go up and hide in this nearby cave. He says, I'll come back and check on you again tomorrow. Maya goes up to hide in the cave. Up in the cave, shortly after she gets up there, she gives birth. Out pops a little baby. She names this little baby Hermes. And she's really excited about it, but this baby pops out already hyperactive, wanting to run around. She puts a little diaper, a little nap on him, and she's like, I love you, little Hermes. And little Hermes starts running around the cave. He's like, look, Mommy, there's a fish. Look, Mommy, there's a wall. Look, Mommy, there's... And just gets all super excited. She's like, kid, you're exhausting. So Maya lays down to take a nap, telling Hermes to stay in the cave, don't wander away, I don't want anything bad to happen. He goes, I'll stay here, Mommy, I promise. And she lays down to take a nap. And he stays there for a good 30 to 45 seconds. And then gets up and he's like, I'm bored, and takes off to leave. Wanders around the nearby forest, pointing out random things. Look, there's a tree, there's a bush, there's a squirrel attacking another squirrel. And then eventually, as he's wandering around, he discovers this wide open clearing. In the middle of the wide open clearing are a whole bunch of glow-in-the-dark cows, a whole herd of them. And he comes up to these big glow-in-the-dark moo-moos. He's like, ooh, moo-moo nightlights. And he decides that he wants moo-moo nightlights for himself, because what small 1.5-hour child would not? And so he decides to bring these moo-moos back with him. And so he gets out a stick, he finds it on the ground, and starts whacking the moo-moos in the butt. Whacky, whacky! And whacks him in the butt, and leaves all these glow-in-the-dark, bright moo-moos back up to the cave where he was sleeping. Gets the moo-moos to be quiet, leads them past his mom. He's like, shush, moo-moos. And they're like, moo. He's like, shush, moo. And he leaves all of them past his mom into the back of the cave. Apparently it's a really big cave. Gets them back there, and then realizes he forgot to do something. Because getting anything good in your life, according to the Greeks, you had to sacrifice to the gods in order to honor them. So he decides he is going to sacrifice one of these cows up to the gods. So he goes back, grabs one of the cows, brings it out to the front of the cave, out to the open entrance, and pulls out his knife because Every baby carries a knife. And decides that he's going to sacrifice this cow. He's like, moo moo, I sacrifice you to the gods because I'm alive and everyone loves glow-in-the-dark nightlight moos. He's like, moo, 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 and sacrifices the god, puts little piles that are out there, washes off his hands, and it's like, holy cow. He didn't, just came up with that one. And then decides to lay down and take a nap. Later that same night, Apollo shows up in the woods. Apollo owned a set of what are called the sacred cows of Apollo, because he spent all day as the sun. The glow from him would then be absorbed by his cows throughout the night, so he'd come and visit them every night and sort of recharge them and absorb the glow from himself. He comes down there to find his cows. They're all gone. He goes, what happened to my moo-moo cows? Looks around and finds this big trail of little hoofs leading away. So he decides to go and follow these hoofs. As he follows these hoofs leading away, they go up to this nearby cave. Apollo walks into the nearby cave. In there, there's some lady sleeping, and a small boy, looks like he's about 9 or 10, sleeping on the ground near her, wearing what looks like a diaper. And Apollo's like, oh, that's creepy and weird. But he goes over to the lady and kicks her awake. He's like, hey, woman, wake up. And the woman wakes up. He goes, where are my cows? She goes, who are you? He goes, I'm Apollo. My cows are gone, and all their hoof prints lead up to here. Who are you? She's like, I'm Maya. And he goes, well, who's that? She's like, that's my baby. He's like, that's not a baby, that's a small child. She's like, that's kind of weird. And they start yelling at each other back and forth about, where are my cows? I didn't steal your cows. Waking up Hermes. Hermes wakes up, sees the yelling going back and forth. He's like, ooh, lots of yelling. Bored. And he starts wandering around the cave. As he wanders around the cave, he finds a turtle shell off to one side. Picks up the turtle shell, starts whacking it on the top, whacky, 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 and then realizes that's not as much fun as he thought, so he pulls out his knife, the one that every small child carries, and starts whacking holes around the outside of the turtle shell. Thwack, thwack, thwack. Goes over to the pile of cow guts, pulls out one of the intestines, and strings it back and forth across the turtle shell. Wooka, 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 wooka. Pulls it tight, ties it off, and then begins strumming it. Bling. Ding, 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 and starts playing it as a musical instrument. Apollo stops what he's doing. He's like, hey, kid, what are you doing? And Hermes like, bling, playing this new thing I just created. Apollo goes, hey, that's really cool. I think the chicks would dig it. So I want it for myself. So how about you give it to me? And and Hermes goes, no, I'm not going to give it to you. So Apollo goes, how about we trade for it? Hermes goes, what do you have? Apollo goes, well, I used to have a whole bunch of glow-in-the-dark cows. I'm trying to track them down because I think this lady stole them. Hermes goes, well, if I can find the cows for you, and will you give me the cows, and I'll give you the turtle shell? And he goes, sure, kid. You find the cows, I'll give you the cows, and you can give me that turtle shell. Hermes goes, shake on it. Apollo's like, whatever, and goes up there and shakes his hand. He goes, so you're going to find these cows? And Hermes goes, yeah, they're right over there. He's like, what? They go around the corner like, oh, there's a whole bunch of glowing cows. Apollo goes, how'd you know that? Hermes goes, because I stole them. And Apollo goes, what? Hermes goes, it was a deal. We shook on it. And they trade. Hermes gets all of Apollo's glow-in-the-dark cows. Apollo gets the little musical instrument. At first, Apollo's upset until he starts playing the instrument. Bling! And then realizes chicks will most definitely dig this thing. Which is why in almost every picture of Apollo, we're going to see the fact that he has this little musical instrument hanging around him, up yonder. He has the same thing over here he's playing, yonder. Same one over here he's playing, yonder. And so he's always playing this musical instrument, realizes it's really cool, and the chicks really do dig it. Goes back up to Mount Olympus, walking around Mount Olympus playing it, ding, 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 when Zeus sees him. And Zeus goes, hey, Apollo, what's that thing? And Apollo goes, I call this thing a chick magnet. Zeus is like, well, that'll probably work. Where'd you get it? He goes, down on Earth. It's a long story. And Zeus goes, no, really, what happened? Apollo goes, I traded some guy for it. He goes, oh, who'd you trade? He's like, some little kid. He was like, oh, what'd you trade for? It's like, he's like, take it from him? He's like, I traded my sacred cows. Zeus goes, you traded a herd of sacred cows for a turtle shell with guts on it. He's like, I call it the chick magnet. And Zeus goes, all right, this kid has to be pretty impressive. I want to go meet this kid for myself. And so Apollo gives him directions on how to go down there and find it. He goes down there. Zeus walks into the cave and finds Maya sitting next to some young teenager. And Zeus goes, Maya, who's the kid? Maya's like, that's our son. Zeus goes, it's not even been 24 hours yet. She goes, surprise! And because of that, Zeus is really impressed with Hermes. Finds out that Hermes not only stole the cows, but convinced Apollo to do this trade, and the fact that Hermes can't sit still and keeps on running. Zeus goes, kid, you're so impressive and so sneaky, you definitely have to come up to Mount Olympus. And so he gives Hermes the last throne on Mount Olympus. But the problem is, Hermes can't sit still. So he ends up having to give Hermes a job. What job does he give him?
Messenger.
And that's why he becomes the messenger, because even while he's up there, he can't sit still and is constantly running in place and moving. And Zeus is like, you're wearing me out, child. So here, he makes him run around and deliver things, which brings Hermes happiness. Hermes also has an affinity for stealing things, which is why he becomes the god of thieves, because apparently he was really good at doing things along those lines. For the hand sign to go along with him, I figure pretty much every time we see Hermes, he's doing the same thing, which is just running. Or flying, if that's what you want to go with too. He's going to do the more running around, or flapping his little non-existent wings. Unless you mean like the wings on his shoes.
Yeah. Wings.
So Zeus has now filled in all of the thrones on Mount Olympus.
Good for Zeus.
Because these 11 plus
Hestia
still has a throne. And so we get to jump a little bit out of order to add in our next one. Because tomorrow we're going to talk about what happened to all the humans during the war.
That's good.
Tomorrow we're going to talk about how the new race of humans get created. So imagine we're jumping forward. We now have a new race of humans that are down on Earth. The problem is, humans are not powerful enough to witness a god in their true form. It was believed that if one of the Titans showed up in front of a human and showed you their true godly form, little light would shine out from them and it would just vaporize you, because our brains were not big enough or powerful enough to be able to handle the sight of them. So whenever the gods came down, they would take a disguise. They would take a different form. Oftentimes as an animal, sometimes they take the form of a human, but anytime we saw them, it was never their true form. And Zeus liked to go down to the humans all the time. It would mingle around them. One day, Zeus gets a crush on a human girl by the name of Semele, S-E-M-E-L-E. And he likes this human girl, and eventually, over time, he convinces her that he is Zeus, because he has the beard and the big toga, and he's like, come on, baby, I'm Zeus. And they're friendly. She gets pregnant. Zeus doesn't want bad things to happen to her, like was what happened to every single girl that he's ever been friendly with. So he says, hey, listen, I know you're a human, and we don't really care about you, but I'd hate for you to die. So you can't tell anyone that I'm the father of the baby. This has to be a secret between the two of us. If you tell people, it's going to get back to Hera. I think we're safe for now. I'll come back and check on you in a couple months, and we'll sort of keep things going from there. Are you okay with that? And somebody's like, yeah, I'm great at keeping a secret. Mm-hmm. He was like, all right, sounds good. So he leaves her alone. And she does really well at it, for like the first month. But people keep asking. As she shows more and more of her pregnancy, the people in town keep asking, who's the father? And she doesn't tell them. But they keep going, who's the father? Come on, you can tell us. Who's the father? And eventually one day she breaks down and tells her best friend, all right, you can't tell anyone, but Zeus is the father. Zeus is the baby daddy. And her friend's like, how do you know? He's like, he had a beard and like a little lightning bolt tattoo on the side of him. He's wearing a toga. And he's all like, oh, I'm Zeus. Like, he was so hunky. And her friend's like, that's so cool. You have to tell everyone. She's like, I can't tell anyone because his wife's crazy. But she really likes the way her friend reacts to the story. So she starts telling more people. The next time someone asks, she's like, listen, all right, you can't tell anyone, but Zeus is the father. I'm like, that's so cool. She's like, I know, right? He chose me. And the next time it was like, hey, who's the father? She's like, Zeus. Zeus is the baby daddy. So it gets to the point where she starts telling everyone as she's just walking around the town. It's like, Zeus is the father. Yep, I'm Mrs. Zeus. I'm better than Hera. I'm right here. Everyone likes it. Right here. This is because of Zeus. And tells everyone she meets about this. Yeah.
Doesn't Hera ever question where Hermes came from?
She does, but I mean, for the most part, Zeus just says, hey, I found this kid who's really impressive. Because he can cover that one by just saying, come on, this kid traded with Apollo. He doesn't have to be connected to me. I just think he's really cool. And Hera's like, oh, that makes perfect sense. And so We'll cover that way.
She's a little
So, unfortunately, the more that she keeps telling people, the information gets back to Hera. Hera finds out that not only is this human saying that she was with Zeus, but this girl thinks that she's better than Hera. So Hera decides this girl has to die. But Hera's done killing women. I know how she feels. So she decides that instead, she's going to make...
Is that why you went to prison?
Yes.
Oh, that was a different
He
reason.
was arrested.
He was arrested.
Same thing.
No, it's
I
not.
do like how I was able to drop that one. It took you guys a good 3 beats to even figure out what I said. So Hera decides that she's not going to kill this girl. She's going to make Zeus kill this girl.
Wait.
So she comes up with a plan to make Zeus kill this girl. Hera takes the form of an old woman, goes down to Earth. In the form of an old woman, she starts walking around the village where Semele is. And eventually she manages to run into Semele. And she's like, hey, I see that you're pregnant. Who's the father? And Semele immediately goes, Zeus. Zeus is the father. But you can't tell anyone because apparently his wife is like a crazy psycho. So we got to keep it on the down low. Just you and me, old lady, okay? And Hera's like, okay. Then Hera goes, how do you know it's Zeus? Somebody goes, what? Hera goes, how do you know the guy was Zeus? Somebody goes, he had a beard and like a lightning tattoo, and he was all like, I'm Zeus, so it was probably Zeus. Then Hera goes, how do you know it wasn't just some creepy guy with a beard? Where's your proof? Somebody goes, well, I mean, I don't have proof. Like, how am I going to get him to prove it to me? I'm like, he's a god. So Hera goes, well, if he loved you, he'd show you the true form. Somebody goes, no, because if I see the true form, I'm going to die. Everyone knows that. Hera goes, no, that's a rumor that the gods spread because they don't want you to know what really happens. Somebody goes, what do you mean, what really happens? Hera goes, if you ever see a god in their true form, they're forced to marry you and bring you up to Mount Olympus, and you get to live the rest of your life with them. That's why they spread the rumor, because they don't want people to know about what really happens. So they did this other thing about not seeing gods in their true form. Somebody goes, is that true? Hera goes, I would never lie to you. She goes, it definitely happened. It happened to my sister's cousin's best friend's aunt when I was a kid. And somebody goes, oh, that sounds completely legit. And she goes, so the next time you see him, if it's really Zeus, make him show you his true form. If he doesn't show you his true form, it's probably just some weird old creepy guy. And there we stop. Tomorrow we'll find out what happens about weird old creepy guys.